There's many words that are not contentious, but I don't think they're well discussed well enough to make actual real sense or sense of them. One is sustainability, another one is environmentalism, the other one is female liberation. Now I'm all for the liberation, the total liberation of females. I always have been. I grew up in a household with a totally free mother in her own way, within that context, and she was free and actually quite happy relationship. Because there wasn't so much financial pressure on women back in the old days. But now there seems to be the idea of where women's liberation, it is the sexual liberation, the idea you can be promiscuous as a man and risk the consequences. Now the consequence of being promiscuous as males is that there's a lot of unwanted pregnancies. And I question, therefore, how liberated are women when they still feel the need to keep up with their sisters or whatever and go and enjoy sex without thinking, first of all, about the consequences, and also asking the men to use contraception. Now, liberation means being able to speak your mind, especially from a woman to a man. A woman will say, "Oh, have you got any contraception?" Not only just to prevent the pregnancy, but also to prevent the passing on of various diseases. Now, that would then liberate women in a different way. It doesn't stop them having sex. No one's saying don't have sex, don't go and enjoy yourself. The sensual pleasures of that. But it just say that before you do, if you're under any pressure to do that because of peer pressure or whatever, remember that that's not the right basis to go and make love on or have sex on. It depends how you want to put it. So, but the causing of women then to need to have an abortion because she doesn't feel responsible enough, or doesn't feel she wants to bring a child into the world, and doesn't feel there's an adequate sustainable economic situation for that child to be brought up in a sustained way that helps the child develop and gets nurtured within a system that child will then go on and develop and become a responsible adult. Because this is a really big issue within all societies when you've got so many people, very sadly in my part, that don't make it through the system because of the limitations on their parental background has caused a negative effect upon the people. So I understand why there are some extremely logical and rational people arguing for abortion. I totally, and I have to be impartial to that. That's the only way I can deal with it, is to be impartial and to actually understand the context of it all. But also to be impartial as well in regards to the liberation of women. The liberation of them would be not to avoid needing abortions by liberating themselves from getting pregnant. So therefore, they liberate themselves from going through the trauma. It must be a trauma, I assume. I can't tell, I do not know, I'm not a woman. I don't presume to know what women feel about those things. But I suspect there may be some who have a residual feeling about it that they carry through life, about what was a child like, etc. So these are things that I don't think are discussed in a way that's productive for society. I mean, you can start in the classroom, it may be a sensitive issue to say, hey guys, avoid getting women pregnant. The part about that is, that doesn't take away at all, in any way, shape or form, from men enjoying sex. In fact, men may enjoy sex longer in their life if they treat women with a lot more respect in regards to the sex act. Men have this drive, and women are induced to it through the estrogen cycle or whatever into getting involved with sex, and especially if there's alcohol or drugs involved and there's less consciousness about what's happening, just want to get down into the sensual nature of having the sex and the excitement of that. It's all wonderful. This is not against, certainly not against people enjoying sex. It's about enjoying it longer through life, maybe, by having a more responsible attitude towards yourself if you're a male, in regards to your attitudes toward women, and this is aimed at men, it's not aimed at women in particular, and I want to take out of context, it's not aimed at women, it's aimed at men who think that it's okay to get people pregnant because they can go and have an abortion. It's very, and it saves a few dollars on a condom, I suppose, but it's not really, in the end, the quality of that, of the lovemaking and that, probably may decline over the time because of the, through society as a whole, because of a lack of consciousness in regards to preventing pregnancy in the first place. Everyone's young and everyone carries on in the ways that they may regret later, but nonetheless, if it can't start, if they're going to have a discussion about pregnancy, which is what it's all about, it's not about abortions, it's about pregnancy, abortions as a result of unwanted pregnancies, then they should this discussion should be not, it shouldn't be between Republicans and Democrats. I do not understand why it's a Republican and Democratic issue. It's an issue for both of them to deal with in a grown-up way, what addresses a problem from a grown-up perspective. They're supposed to be grown-ups when they get into Parliament or politics, and they must be able to then discuss things from a grown-up perspective. Don't get women pregnant. This is a message to men. It's not a message to women. Women, be careful of men who don't actually use condoms. It's simple. It's not about stopping anyone enjoying themselves. Nothing to do with it. It's to do with hoping to encourage people to think about what causes, the sex is great pleasure for a while, a few minutes or whatever, but then there's a long-term maybe regretting of that one short act by somebody you don't really love or don't really want to have any long-term relationship with. So this is not meant to offend anyone. It's meant to ask, what is women's liberation? When as yet, regardless of all the talk about that, there's still no real respect for women by men, that they can still cause pregnancies when pregnancies can be avoided, and women need to maybe look upon protecting themselves from getting pregnant, having to deal with the trauma of that, because it's not only that, it's a great cost problem as well. It's the whole thing needs to be done in an impartial and objective context, and I don't see why it's a political context at all.